going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's episode 606, like Studio 606 of the Foo Fighters, right? We got a musical podcast today. We are presented by tickpick.com. Use that promo code capital OSHOW20 for $20 off your next order. A lot going down. We got the Super Bowl coming up. We got the Bud Light Music Festival with Dave Matthews Band and Paramore coming to town. We got the Waste Management Open as well, the Phoenix Open and the PGA Golf Tournament coming this week. It's going to be a crazy week for tourists that first week in February. So get your tickets. Use that promo code capital OSHOW20. We're also brought to you by Rack Financial. The hat here, head on over to rackfinancial.com, merchant credit card services. Come see the results with us at Rack Financial for all your information there, for any local businesses out there looking to eliminate any credit card processing fees. Jesse Ray James III. You're 3, right? Yeah. I saw that on your social media.
This is true.
We connected 1 year ago. You were working, you were a bartender. Me and my buddy Hank, who I'm still very close with today, who's probably going to edit this video. So thank you, Hank.
Thank you.
We connected over there. You were saying that you do a little bit of music. We invited you on the podcast. And now you're ready to go. And now we're ready to have this conversation.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on. It has been a long time coming. A lot of moving parts, though. You're super busy. I've been developing my brand and getting things going. So, yeah, just grateful to be here.
That's the most difficult part about working in the entertainment industry is always rescheduling with people. It's like, oh, yeah, let's do it next week. And the next week comes along. It's, oh, let's do it the following week. And then the following week comes along. You're like, oh, something came up. But it's like, that's honestly the best and worst part. You're allowed to reschedule.
Yeah, the flexibility there.
We're both flexible and we're both understanding too. We're like, some people will be like, oh, I'm not available anymore. That was my only time,
Butt hurt.
Just big shots out there.
Yeah.
But you got some music coming out.
Absolutely.
You played a little bit for us at the top and we'll play the song at the end as well.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a rap mix.
Yeah. So
you just taught, like, people who are going to listen to you today, you could just tell, like, when you listen to singers just talk, whether it be in an interview or just meeting them in person, you're like, oh, they're a singer. You definitely got that poise about you. I remember the first musician I ever interviewed was Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Tight.
And when I heard him talking,
and one of my most favorite songwriters.
When I heard him talk, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a singer. Yep, absolutely. Darius Rucker was another one where I was just like, oh yeah, like I don't even have to know who you are. I'm like, this guy probably sings.
Recognize the voice, yeah. A lot of happening with my music. I'm going to be releasing a new single on February 5th. It's called Is This Why We Came? By the way, I'm Jesse James. Faulted is what I go by, right? Because we all are. We've all made mistakes. We all continue to make mistakes as part of the human process, right? So in best case scenario, we can learn from said mistakes and improve our situations from the mistakes. Don't waste time or energy like focusing on them and staying like wallowing in those swamps of guilt. Use them for like transformation and metamorphosis. So that's what I've chosen to do. Gratitude is the antidote. I'm super grateful for where I'm at in life right now. To be sitting here at this current moment is awesome. It's all progression. So, yeah. And
it's not an easy thing to do, my friend. I mean, you probably know a lot of people who got stuck in the mud and they're still there because they can't 100%. Get out of their own, like they can't get out of their own heads. Let alone the problems absolutely. And the habits that they develop.
Because that's the first cage that we get stuck in, right? Like as human beings, we have the gift of consciousness, but that gift can be a curse as well, So if somebody can't get out of their own head, they're not going to be able to get out of their own way, So it's unfortunate, but at least, once we bring awareness to that, maybe said individuals will be able to get out of their own way. And that's why it's so important to create communities in everything we do, right? So that we can offer a hand up to people, and not necessarily a handout, but help them, right? And give them guidance, perspective, share our stories, and hopefully, create a positive swing of momentum in people's lives.
Well, you're definitely on the right track. So let's get into all of that because I know you've had a crazy up and down experience getting in everything that you're doing now. Absolutely. You mentioned you and your wife looking to start your own real estate team, husband and wife, which is really cool on top of doing your own music.
For that.
Like you're finally going to be able to do exactly what you want to do and put all of your focus and energy, not only into your family, but like, I guess that's the main purpose is to be flexible enough to where you can be both there present as a husband and as a father and at the same time do your actual passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing, super grateful for that. Her as a partner, I mean, we've been doing this whole life thing together since we were 17 and 18 years old, so I don't trust anybody more on this planet. And so what we're doing is we've recently got into real estate, just starting to go through the training and whatnot. We really just want to like raise our ceilings, right? So we're not limited by a 9 to 5 and having to go and like contribute to somebody else's dream. We want to create our own dream. And behind that, be able to balance real estate and music, my speaking, and things like that. We can basically do whatever we want.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want on the show, too.
Whatever the fuck we want. That's what we can do. All right, yeah.
There you go. Now we're alive. You're a rock star, my friend. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
That's what I like to hear, because I do enjoy cussing.
Oh, my God. There's so many people that are like, can I curse? I'm like, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, when used appropriately, it becomes a poignant accent to said conversation.
That's what I always say. Like, if you're looking to offend people with the words you're saying, then yes, then it comes out. Then it comes out. But like, if you're just free flowing and you're passionate about what you're talking about, and it comes out. Like, who's gonna fault you for that?
With my music, it's funny because I don't know, one of my family members, an aunt or something, is like, "Can you just not cuss?" Like, I mean, I can, but I'm not going to. You know what I mean? Because I need to appropriately place them within my verses and choruses and hooks and speaking to be like, motherfucker. You know?
Yeah. If my grandparents or my dad always says, like, if your grandfather was still alive, he'd be like, I love what you're doing, Jack, but the language, like, just cool it with the language.
Tone it down
you'll be all
a bit,
good, right? But that's old school. This is new school. Everybody has their own platform, their own content creators that are out there doing their stuff. What got you into music in the first place? Have you been playing ever since you were little?
So, like, in high school and everything, I have some really good friends that started pursuing music, started pursuing rap at an early age. Older brother, very talented songwriters, musicians, producers. And so they were doing it, and I was just kind of dicking around. I've always had kind of a big mouth and am sarcastic. So freestyling for me was an awesome outlet. And that's what started me in music, was freestyling. So I'd sit there and cypher and kind of like battle rap and talk shit, and that's where it began. And then I didn't really pursue it in any sort of serious manner. Was kind of like living the American dream, or what I thought it was, and got married young, homes and businesses, and thinking that I was doing the right thing. But I was a young man, and it kind of confined me, and I ended up like fucking it all off. And through that, it created more and more experience. Post divorce, I went deeper into a like dark hole than I had ever been at that point, and hella content to draw from that, drugs and violence and shenanigans left and right, and so then I just started putting that into the verse form, and I listen to like my old songs and everything, and it's crazy because I can use it as kind of like a journaling, right? I'm like, oh shit, I was there when I wrote this, or oh shit, I was there. Oh, I was hopeful right there, and oh, I was completely dejected, or I was depressed, or whatever, and I can like focus in on those energies, and I can use them as building blocks to get where I am now. So that's where I started in a nutshell.
And I feel like because we talked about Corey Taylor at the start, right? You could hear it just in his voice, some of the experiences he went through. What were some of those, if you don't mind sharing, some of those more darker experiences that you were able to get yourself out of? And how did you get yourself out of them for people that are, again, stuck in the mud and can't really get out of their own heads?
Well, it's interesting. So I'm an alcoholic and an addict, right? So I have over 7 years of sobriety at this point. I'm clean and I have clarity like I've never before had, right? But it's been a long journey. So after the divorce, I'm like 26, 27 years old at the time, and I went deep into bottles, meth, pharmaceuticals, affiliated with very active individuals, kind of in that drug and gang life, And although I was never a gangbanger, I was never an active, member, I've just always been closely related to them. So a lot of violence and a lot of bullshit. It ultimately led to being confined in mental institutions, county jail, hospital, state prison. And it was there that I started to kind of like wake the fuck up, right? I've always been searching for ways out, right? But they were like half-assed and half-hearted attempts. Like I always knew that my addiction was wrong, right? So like I always knew better. So I was always one of these guys that like every night, this is my last time. So I'm going hard, right? So I'm going to drink or use or snort or smoke everything that I have. And tomorrow I get clean. But that tomorrow never came, because then ultimately I'd be so fucked off and burnt out the next day. I'm like, man, I got to get something to get me through the day. So that led me, obviously that's a fallacy in my thought process, right? Like that type of thinking is contaminated, and it was my addict in the attic. So that little guy up there was steering the ship just back to more chemical indulgence. what got me out of it, honestly, was I went away for 6 years up in Oregon, right? I go up to Oregon. I moved up to Oregon after a little set in California, and I wanted to change my life. I knew one cat up there that was doing music. My partner, Sonny Cruz, shout out to him. So at that point, it kind of like literally saved my life. And I thought that it was going to be this huge blessing and this redirect of my energy and blah, blah, blah. It turned out that wherever you go, there you are, right? So since I didn't deal with my own shit and my own problems, they were all up there waiting for me. So then I ended up repeating and perpetuating old cycles, end up in state prison. And it was about a year and a half, 2 years, close to 2 years into my set. And I end up getting this scuffle with a youngster that I could actually just, spoken to like an adult and tried to help him along his path instead of antagonizing the situation and like bringing this into this violent encounter. So I end up going to the hole, solitary confinement. I'm back there and I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing? You're now in jail inside of a prison. You're now repeating and perpetuating cycles, even within the confines of this prison. Stupid as fuck, right? So a lot of self-judgment there. And that's when I started waking up and I made a commitment to all the powers that be, to myself, my family, my circle, that wasn't going to be my reality anymore. And so I began changing the narrative. I changed my story. And so from then on, I've been focused on progression. And you say, how did I get out of that? Well, I had to humble myself, right? And start to like shed the ego and start to see. I read this amazing quote, right? It says, we first think our ego has us believe that we're somebody, right? That thought of being somebody, then life humbles us and teaches us that we're nobody. We start looking around and we see, shit, man, we could have been anybody. And that's the moment we become everybody. And that resonated with me so deeply because we're all sharing this adventure of life, right? On this planet. It's a strange existence and it's beautiful and it's chaotic, but it's an amazing, amazing journey. So anyways, I kind of meander through tangents, but coming back, I humble myself and I started like just retraining my brain, mind, body, and soul. I started retraining myself. And yeah, I put my, like every opportunity of programs that were there, that were at my disposal. I took advantage of them, cognitive behavior therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, anger management, AA, NA. And ultimately it led to this passion that I have of progression and self-improvement, right? So, yeah. And then from that day, like I said, that was July of 2017. And ever since that moment, I've been moving forward in everything that I do.
Well, congratulations on that, first and foremost, because it ain't an easy thing to do. For people that are, because I feel like when you're in pain, and you mentioned what you went through there, that kind of got you into what, eventually created your story in a sense. There's a lot of people out there who are in pain and will go to anything to fix that in the short term, which unfortunately for a lot of people is drugs. It is alcohol. It is certain painkillers. Like what would you do differently if you could go back and do it knowing now what you know? And, to give certain people advice as well as to get through certain pains without going through things that are going to harm them in the long run.
100%. Those are all plastic Band-Aids to put over like a gaping wound, right? The entire time I was running from myself and running from the traumas endured as a child, right? Father dying, abusive home life. Like there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of chaos and a lot of bullshit that I should have responded to in a more appropriate manner. My little sister, she went through all the same things that I did. She's a little younger, so her eyes were like open at a different degree at that time, but she didn't react or respond the way I did. So if I could go back and give advice to myself back when I was a child or when I was in my addiction, I would stop running, pull the ripcord. You know what I mean? Stop running from yourself. It was crazy. I was caught up on being this super alpha male, ready to fight anybody at any time. And I'm not scared of a fucking thing. And then like, the whole time I was just completely full of fear, right? I was afraid of myself and looking at myself like honestly and accurately in the mirror. So, and that's why I talk about the running, right? So I should have paid attention to that little boy that was inside of me screaming for help, even when I was 30 years old. You know what I mean? Like that little boy needed to be nurtured. He needed to have space to heal, to actually process the traumas and all the hurt in order to move past it. And then once you process that hurt, you can start forgiving yourself and others, and you can start to like become more at peace with yourself. Because until then, you're full of guilt and fear, right? And it's just perpetuating, and that becomes these ruminating thoughts, which then perpetuates more bad behaviors. You know what I mean? It's flawed logic. It's like, if I do this, I won't feel that. But in actuality, it just amplifies all the feeling of that. You might escape it for a quick minute, but ultimately you run right back into yourself and you feel all those feelings of guilt and fear and resentment even more.
It's like a daily reoccurring thing that you got to learn.
100%.
At what point did you meet your now wife?
Oh, man, I was just out of high school. So like I was 18 years old, and I met her, and it was funny, interesting little story. Like, she was supposed, like, I was talking to this other girl, and I was like, she wanted me to go to a dance with her. And I'm like, well, I can't go anywhere by myself. You know what I mean? In case some fools are tripping or whatever. So I got to bring my homeboy. And so I'm like, you need to find a girl, and make sure she's hot and blah, blah, blah.
Right. All the essentials.
Yeah. I was like, the essentials. So, she brings her over, and right away, like, honestly, I knew from the moment that I met her that she's the one for me, that I've loved her since that moment. Which was kind of a fucked up situation. Sorry to the other two people involved in that equation, but here we are. Yeah, like I said, that was in the beginning of 2000.
Wow. So she's been through this journey.
100%. So even through our divorce, and when I went off the rails and I was like in the darkest depths of my addiction, she was always there for me as a friend. And you know what I mean? She just had to kind of like watch from a distance, because at that point I was just merely a liability, nowhere near an asset.
Right. So. No, not at all. I mean,
not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. I mean, but you figured it out. And then at what point did she kind of come back into your life?
That was in prison. So we're in there, and like I said, we've never been far apart. So we just kept communication flowing and moving forward. And then, I'm like, when I get out, we're going to get back together and we're going to resume this life that we started so long ago. She's like, yeah. Don't prison talk me, like, I heard this before and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, you got 3 years to the gate. Like, we can't even entertain this as being a real thing, and then it was 2 years to the gate. I'm like, all right, nothing's changed on my side. You know what I mean? And like, barring you meeting somebody that, blows your mind and all that. Nope, 2 years, too long. All right, whatever. So then we get close to a year and I'm like, all right, let's fucking dial this in. Make a commitment. And so originally I paroled from Oregon to Arizona, and I was just going to stay with family for a little bit, kind of like get my bearings back and see how I responded back in the real world. And then I was going to move out to LA where she was, because she was living out near Santa Monica at the time. But then as soon as I got out, I realized that was going to be a significant problem with parole, like getting it transferred and everything. It was doable, but it was going to be a real pain in the ass. So we made the decision for her to move out here, and try to rent. Couldn't find any rentals because of my record, and so we're like, fuck it, let's buy a house. That's a better decision, right? So that's what we did. We ended up purchasing a pad, and I'm grateful because we were able to get in that right before the interest rates started climbing. So we got in at a decent rate, and now we have a home, and it's beautiful, and we're furnishing it and about to landscape the backyard and blah, 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 and doing all that domesticated fun stuff.
Yeah. And has she, because I know you guys are starting your real estate firm, you're still looking to get licensed, or because obviously you got to overcome a few obstacles there.
Absolutely.
Has she always been in the space, or is this something that you guys just came together and were like, let's do it?
Completely new.
Really?
Yeah, completely new. I kind of got the interest sparked in me last year, and I was speaking to an individual that was doing it, and I was like, man, with my skill set and everything, it's something that I feel like I could do very well. And so that didn't pan out with said individual, but we went back to the drawing board, and I'm like, look, I don't want to be serving and bartending in restaurants forever. So we got to figure out what's going on and do that at the same time as this music. So we were like, let's look into real estate, and the market's weird right now, but it's still good. I mean, the Phoenix metro area is one of the fastest growing areas in the country, and I don't see that slowing down. They just continue to keep building apartments and apartments and apartments and apartments and new homes and business. And business it's crazy. Cause like from the 303 to the 10, the 303 and the 10, all the way up to the 17 and the 10, not the 17 and the 303. Yeah. It's crazy. So in the 16 months that I've been out here, they have built so much. So anyways, a lot of growth.
A lot of growth. And it ain't stopping either.
It's not.
At what point did you stop playing music, or were you always in tune with your musical abilities? And then obviously when you get out, it kind of resparks.
So in there, I was, so there's a lot of years that like my artistic expression was martial arts and fighting.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So that was a big part of like, like the violence and everything. It wasn't all on the street. There was also like, there used to be a time in my life where I like getting punched in the face and punching people in the face, like, and that was a part of my path. And, obviously it became very detrimental to me and everybody around me. So I had to stop that and pull back. And like, I didn't even allow myself to watch like UFC or Bellator or any of that. Like,
could you not control it?
Nah.
Yeah.
No. I was ready to rock and roll all the time. And I had a hard time, like, especially while using like the no button in me isn't really there. Like, oh, you want to do this? Yeah. You want to do some more of this? Yeah. You want to do this? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do this? Yeah. Oh, you want to fuck around? Yeah, I do. Like, and so that was part of my addiction. But that's far behind. Like I said, never gonna put these on anybody else again in that way. I still train martial arts, boxing and Muay Thai and whatnot. But yeah. So while I was in there, as far as music goes, that's when I learned the guitar. So I had never learned the guitar before. I was merely like spoken word and a hip hop guy. But yeah, I got stuck in a box and bought a guitar, and I'm grateful for some cellies and some neighbors that probably hated me.
Oh yeah,
because I'm like, ring, 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 ring.
Yep, and they're just stuck. They can't do anything about it.
100%. Shut the fuck up. So yeah, I just struggled through that, but continued writing, continued creating while in there, and then I ended up actually doing a GoFundMe while I was in there, which was super dope. I did it out on the streets. Again, my wife and family put it together and had recording equipment donated to the prison. And so then we were able to set up like a little like makeshift studio in there, got a little audio interface, microphones, like we got a little like acoustic treated like half booth, you know what I mean? And we threw up some mattresses in the back and the blah, blah, blahs, had a core workstation. And we went to work, and I was able to put out an album while I was in there. It was mixed and mastered with $20 little cost earplugs, you know what I mean? And so it's like, the levels aren't perfect or anything, but I'm so grateful that I was able to actually do that while down. And I've always been like laser focused on the music. I knew that was going to be a huge part of my path upon release, because with my words, not only through music, but through speaking, I truly seek to inspire people and create change in this world, So that's what I'm doing.
Was hip hop your first love then?
So I actually grew up on like alternative rock, and classic rock. That was actually more my gig. Like
that's what, like when I hear your voice, I'm like, oh, he's got to be a rock singer.
Well, dude, and then it was just, I think, environmental factors, right? Mm-hmm. So like where I grew up, it was all hip hop, right? All the homies, they were all doing hip hop. So it's like nobody was playing any rock music. Nobody was doing anything like that. So it's like I kind of like just had to get in where I fit in, right? And I was like, oh shit, that's when I just kind of started spitting hip hop. But then when I like. Then all that grunge and the Doors influence on me, and like old school shit started coming out in the way I play the guitar, And then it's funny because I've been out now and releasing music again for I've been out for 16 months. I've been releasing music for the last 6 months or so, and I haven't released any of my acoustic stuff or my rock stuff yet. So that's all like still up the sleeve, and I'm about to share that with the world, and I can't wait. It's funny because singing and playing the guitar for me. You give me a microphone, and I don't care how many people are out there. Dude, I am so comfortable. But you give me the guitar, and I feel like so vulnerable.
You're just
I'm
trapped.
Like, oh my gosh! Like I feel
and
like
playing and singing at the same time ain't no joke either.
It's pretty.
That is difficult.
Yeah, it definitely is different. Like I have to like switch up my cadence and my rhyme scheme and everything because like I sing, but I also spit hip hop with the guitar at some points. It's mostly more like you can definitely when you hear my guitar music, it's huge. Grunge influence.
Oh yeah.
We've already talked about
who were some of those influences specifically.
I mean, honestly, Alice in Chains.
Yep.
Lane Staley.
I think he had the best range out of anybody in that entire era.
And even like more so than his technical like voice, because it's either him or Chris Cornell, right? As far as like technical vocalist, right? But Lane Staley was able to convey like how much he fucking truly hated living, right? Like you could feel every emotion that he was singing. And to me, like, man, Nutshell is probably the unplugged version. It's probably my all-time favorite song. It's like, just even thinking about it, I get goosebumps. To me, we all have those songs that just super resonate with us, right? And that one there, it's like 8 quick lines as far as lyrics go, and says so much. And again, you can just hear it. But so Alice in Chains is a huge one. Some Soundgarden, right? Nirvana, of course, like everybody from that time.
Same thing with Kurt, you know, you could just hear it in his voice.
For sure. And then you see here like Dave Grohl when he started Foo Fighters, like a little more hope in there. You know, even when he talks about the darkness and everything, it was a little brighter, which is cool to see that come back around. But then like the hip hop from the 90s was a huge influence on my style. So like Tupac, I think was the most like powerful lyricist ever. Definitely not the best lyricist, but like the way he was able to convey a message so powerfully to me was just like, whoosh, I never really like heard that before. I was enthralled by listening to him. Right. But him, Outkast, early Outkast was the shit to me all the way through Aquemini, Andre, all the way from when he had like a Braves hat on or like a little Kangol Braves jersey, like all the way up until when he started getting all like, you know, pink shoulder pads and everything. Yep. He's so dope of an artist, and that's what he is as an artist. So that was a huge influence on like the artistic side of things, along with like Jimi Hendrix, another one, like paints colorful pictures with his words, you know what I mean, with the sounds. So those are some of my influences. I love DMX back in the day. He was like my guilty pleasure for the East Coast. You let me fly, you give me this, you know, like dope as shit. And another very sad person that was able to convey his fucking how much he despised being alive and you know, follow it throughout his life. You know, it took him longer than Lane and Kurt to get where he was going, but ultimately the drugs took him there. You know,
Chester Bennington was another one, right? And it's like after he's gone, you're like, it's so obvious in his passion when he's singing / screaming.
100%. He was screaming for help for years, and everybody's like, "You're amazing." He's like, "No, I need fucking help."
Yep. He committed right after Cornell did,
100%.
like 6 weeks after.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yep. There's crazy conspiracy theories too. Like they knew too much. Like,
Hillary Clinton, that whole thing.
Oh, dude.
I was going to do a documentary about murder mysteries for my senior film class. And that was going to be part of it. It was going to be Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain. Yep. It was going to be Hillary Clinton and the Pizzagate killed both Bennington and Cornell. Someone killed Jim Morrison. Someone killed Bob Marley. Someone killed Elvis. Yep. You know, like there's always going to be those conspiracies 100%. Out there. And there's so much information out there that makes you think like maybe it did happen.
Dude, and now more than ever, we're fucking inundated with information. So you're like, that sounds ridiculous. Maybe it's true.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's books about there, and you're like, oh my God, like they totally did it, right? Because it's so one-sided and so biased.
100%. Dude, there's the crazy. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine when I was busted, right? And it's all the COVID's happening. So I was incarcerated while COVID hit, right? Yeah. So talk about that was a weird like experience as well, you know, because like we were sheltered in place for fucking years at that point, you know? So that didn't affect us as much. But anyways, talking to my friend, and they're like, yeah, you know, like, there's all this stuff going on, and like they're fucking taking adrenochrome from the kids and pulverizing them into meat for the big hamburger companies, and I'm like, you sounding fucking sane.
Yeah, yep, 1,000%.
That's the craziest shit I've ever heard. Those aren't really aircraft carriers. They're actually just rescuing these thousands of children, and Trump's the Messiah. And I'm like, what in the actual fuck? I couldn't fucking believe it. And mind you, I have not only heard some crazy shit, I've said some crazy shit. I used to be on the fucking like super conspiracy side of life and like looking into that before, like, dude. So like, it's like, I try to listen to things with an open mind because who knows? We don't fucking know what's going on. You know what I mean?
You don't know until it actually goes down.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit though. That's some crazy shit.
Yeah. And then I feel like a lot of musicians stay quiet on that front too. You don't really hear that much about that, which is great. You know, like I don't need to, like, I wonder what Kurt Cobain would say now in this era of politics versus like a Dave Grohl who stays pretty neutral. He's like, I'm just focused on my shit, man. Like I don't need to get involved with any of this.
Absolutely.
I feel like Lane Staley, that one was clear cut. Like, yeah, the guy needed help, didn't get it. He was found like 90 pounds. When they found him, right?
Super sad story. Absolutely.
Isn't it crazy that I think Eddie Vedder's the last frontman of those 4 big grunge bands, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains. He's the last remaining frontman that survived. Yeah. Obviously, Grohl was a part of that, but like Foo Fighters wasn't
the Foo Fighters. Absolutely.
He was the nameless, faceless drummer.
That was the next wave. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then there was
and he wasn't even the original drummer.
No, he was like the fifth. There was
Some shit.
Chad Channing, a few of those other guys, which is crazy too. That when Taylor Hawkins passed this year, everyone's like, "Oh, they'll continue." He wasn't even the first Foo Fighter drummer, and I'm like, "Come on." He was the Foo Fighter drummer for 25 years.
Yeah.
And he was like their third drummer, I think.
Yeah. Artist, man.
That one was the first death that I was like, dude, I think about Taylor Hawkins shredding on a drum kit like 12 times a day. And when that death happened, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like
Crazy.
that was like the one pure band too. Like nobody in the band had died 25 years strong.
Yeah.
And
It's a shame, man. It's a shame. It's crazy how much music influences society though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at like the shift. See, we could go on a whole rant on that.
Yeah.
I love conscious hip hop. I love when rap is used as a form of expression to share the angst of a soul or the angst of a movement. And
now, who's an artist that you think displays that the best?
nowadays,
Yeah.
I think Kendrick,
Okay.
J. Cole. I think that they're powerful lyricists that can still speak to the masses about shit that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of stuff that I'm just like,
I hear a lot of stuff where it sounds the same. It's more about the beats than it is the actual, because the lyrics I'll listen to and be like, that doesn't even make sense. If anything, it's raunchy and it's just like, how can anybody get behind that?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think J. Cole, I like Kendrick Lamar, I like Post Malone just because he's just well-versed.
Dude, super diverse, right? The wide spectrum artist. He can get it. You've heard the country covers that he does? Dude, fucking guy's on point, right?
He's doing collabs with Ozzy and all these other guys.
Super
he's
dope.
Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like he doesn't like push on more of the political side of things, but I think that he has a huge voice. You know what I mean? And I think that's fucking awesome. I think that people need to think more. I think that the people are being taught to think less with popular music. They're being taught and influenced to just shut the fuck down and follow the leader through this fucking bullshit societal maze where it's just like go to work, pay the bills, don't fucking think about it. Wake up, do it again. Listen to some shit. Chip in on somebody else's dream. Go buy a fucking bottle of whatever the fuck they're promoting and go smoke this, that, and then shut your brain off.
Mm-hmm.
Shut the fucking thing that makes you an individual off. So that way you could just be part of this fucking mass confusion. And to me, I try not to get too hung up on it because it fucking makes me sick. You know, it really does. I'm just like, fuck, just fucking think. I don't want you to fucking think like me. Don't think like me. I don't want anyone to think like you. What I want everybody to do is to find their self and to fucking figure out how to incorporate all facets of their self, mind, body, and soul, bro. And think. Be an original fucking thinker. And some people don't want to. I've had conversations with so many people, I just don't want to know. Like the shit that we were talking about before, right? With these conspiracy theories. Well, why would I want to know about that? Because there's nothing I can do to change it. Mm-hmm. Fuck! Well, we can at least be aware. We can at least fucking pretend to care about this planet that we're on. It's
But so I'm thinking of one artist in particular where his lyrics are just absurd, but his music is so influential and his story is influential. Marshall Mathers, Eminem. I grew up, he was probably the first rapper I ever listened to where I was just like, this guy is incredible. But then you grow up and you listen to his lyrics and you're like, where is that coming from? Because a lot of people will be turned off by that, but at the same time respect the hell out of the guy for what he went through and what he continues to do because he's so just analytically well-versed in his lyrics. Absolutely. That really makes you think because he'll say in interviews, oh, that's just me spitting stuff out. You can interpret that any way you want. Other things, it's oh, that was a song for my daughter. Where did that come from? I don't understand some of his stuff.
I definitely, it's funny. Sometimes he gets lost in because he's not really old school rapper, right? So when I start thinking about influences and stuff, he came after, right? Because he didn't come out and start really breaking into 99, right? So a lot of my influences I'm talking about are 93 to 97, right? In that realm. And then I don't consider him a new school rapper because he's definitely not a fucking new school rapper like a Kendrick or a Lamar, right? He's way predates him. Amazing artist, right? Game-changing artist, right? He, what he does with syllable structure and being able to convey intelligence through his words are none other. Mm-hmm. It's fucking amazing. And then, he used to be super pushing on for society and for multiple cultures to wake the fuck up and think, right? White America, fucking different songs that he had out to like think like this is wrong. Like even like going back to like Guilty Conscience. Like he's saying like, fuck, man, look at all these different sides of the story. Like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Do that shit right. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just, I think that he started bringing out mental health.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He was like the
Way before
first one to
anybody
like,
else.
hey, mental health is a real fucking thing.
Way before anybody else.
Yeah.
Before anybody else really knew that's what he was talking about, too.
This is true.
Mhm.
Yeah. Predated a bunch of phrases now, you know? And yeah, he's amazing. Still amazing. Like, dude, the last verse on that Godzilla song,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him do it live because I feel like there had to be multiple punch-ins, but I would have to say that's perfect syllable structure. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Perfectly articulated and just, oh man. Like a fucking, like, dude, like a drum rhythm that was perfectly in sync.
Yep.
And it was all vocal percussion, just crazy.
His story with Dr. Dre is probably from a business side, because the business side of music, everybody always says is just like a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he stuck with him through and throughout, and now he is where he was, and those two got to perform at the Super Bowl last year. That was a cool moment to see for those guys.
It was a great moment for hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
It really was, you know, so especially for them, you know, specifically. But
My big thing is that I want a rock band to headline the Super Bowl. I think Rihanna has it this year. They're always, obviously hip hop and rap is in. That is like the number one genre in the world right now. Yeah. I'd like, if Taylor Hawkins didn't die, I could have seen the Foo Fighters headlining a Super Bowl. They're big enough to do a Super Bowl.
Well, Adam Levine, Maroon 5, I don't think they don't quite make are they a rock band or are they a pop band?
I love Maroon 5. I'd say they're pop. Way more pop than rock.
For sure. Chili Peppers. I forgot about this. Fucking Anthony. Dude, the Red Hot Chili Peppers might be my all-time favorite band and most listened to. I'm getting turned off by them because at my work right now, it's nonstop fucking Chili Peppers and Jack Johnson. And I swear, if I hear Wagon Wheel one more fucking time, I just want to Spartan kick that shit across the room.
Well, there's certain songs like Wagon Wheel, even like Danny California, or All the Small Things, Blink-182. Like I hear those songs like almost every day, just like walking. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think Chili Peppers got Bruno Mars brought him to the Super Bowl. About like 10 years ago.
Oh, that's what's up.
I don't think they headlined, but Bruno Mars is like, yeah, let's bring the Chili Peppers. Like that's a
Chili
cool
Peppers
kind of
definitely.
collab.
I feel like they could fucking headline.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're definitely
rock's just not in. I don't understand.
Nope. It's not a thing, unfortunately.
Maybe Greta Van Fleet in a few years will get the call.
Yep. It's funny. I was just trying to remember that. It's funny how things work. Yesterday, I was thinking about an article I read about this new band that was supposed to be like a rebirth of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Greta
Van Fleet. And Robert Plant, I guess in an interview, those guys, because they're kids, they're my age. They're just like, we model ourselves a lot after Sabbath as opposed to Zeppelin. And Robert Plant was like, no fucking way. Robert Plant's just like, you're lying. At least like have the decency to be like, you sound like us.
Yeah.
Because they do, but they're really good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I forgot what the fucking band is. Calio. Do you know who that is?
Oh, Kaleo? Kaleo's really good.
Dude, Way Down We Go. That's a sick-ass song. And they're from overseas somewhere, I believe.
They got songs that rock fans would love, and they got songs that my mother would love. Yeah. Like, you'll hear that in the backyard and like a patio party, you know, just like a block party, like all the Pretty Girls. Is that a song? They just have a lot of cool, like, melancholy, just mellow stuff.
And then to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's crazy how music can connect the world, you know. But that's why we need to be conscious of using it as an instrument / tool, right? Because what is popular culture, like what is it spreading? Why does it want people to shut off? We should be able to like influence people to start standing up and thinking. It's crazy. So division in life is not a new thing, right? It's not a new phenomenon. I was gone from 15 to 21, right? When I got out, I went from a place that was racially segregated, politically segregated, like far, right? Because prison, obviously, there's segregation in place on a fucking high level. With that being said, I am shocked and can't believe the division out in here in society.
Yeah.
It's sad, man. Like you can't fucking have a thought that supports one or the other if it agree. Like with somebody who subscribes only to one side. So if you're like, yeah, I mean, I see some truth in that. I see, oh man, you're one of these bleeding heart liberals, or oh fuck, you're one of these racist conservatives. And it's like, dude, let's not forget that there's a middle ground and that there's truth and fallacy everywhere we look. Yeah. We have to be able to like be intelligent enough and open-minded enough to discern between the two, you know? Like not everything we hear is true and not everything we hear is false. You know, it's like, but I think that goes back to this fucking huge influx of information. How do you fucking sort through it?
Yeah. No, you can't. And there's so many people like that. They're like, you're part of the fucking problem, you know? Like it's way more complicated than that. Like, and if you're not immediately involved in any of it, why do you care so much?
Seriously, why such this fucking crazy, like, visceral reaction to something? Yeah. It's like, dude, we're all fucking humans trying to fucking, like,
could you imagine if you put your energy into something that actually could benefit you and benefit your family as opposed to just whining, bitching, and moaning and complaining on television?
100%. That'd be awesome. If we stop focusing so much on a fucking problem and start looking for a solution, one that can be beneficial for all, you know what I mean? At least beneficial for most. But that's, I think the only way that can come is through conversation. But a conversation isn't somebody talking at somebody or another person talking back. It's having a free-flowing conversation where both sides are listening, digesting, absorbing, and then like sharing their thoughts on that, right? But the chances of that happening, because everybody's so fucking polarized, you know,
you really have to grab someone's attention and connect with them. So how do you plan on doing that through your own music?
So what I want to do is, all right, so when I was busted, I had a cool little glimpse of this, right? So we were part of, me and a group of inmates were part of this like inmate council type thing, right? Where we were trying to improve the communications between us and staff. We realized that both on the staff side and on the inmate side, that we weren't going to be able to reach and change the people's minds that were already solidified in their perspective, people all the way out there. So those 10% of people, say even 20% of people, they'll never hear any change, right? That's 40%, right? You have 60% of the people that are willing to actually listen and entertain the notion of change, right? So if we go, like, if we use that model, if I use that model with my music and with my speaking, I can reach out to people and start to try to inspire change. The first thing that I want to start speaking on change about is like personal revelation and healing and growth and all that, right? But in the same breath, I do want people to come back together and stop fucking hating each other for reasons that aren't real. It's crazy. Like we have all these people shouting they want to be free, freedom of this, freedom of that, pro this, pro that. And it's like, dude, but the hypocrisy is apparent immediately when you speak, because although you're screaming for freedom there, you're denying a freedom there. So like, do you not realize the fucking folly in your ways? Like, and we all of us are blind. We have blind spots at some point, right? And then that's why you have to go back and like go back to the drawing board and be like, fuck, I was missing out on that. Although I was like changing and increasing my awareness and my lenses on this direction, there's a shadow over here and I was neglecting to fucking pay attention to that. So honestly, I just want to speak and like stimulate conversations to where people can like open up their brains to the possibility of change and that we're not so fucking different. Even two people that hate each other, if they really were like, well, this is the reason I hate you. 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 You cut all that off. There are still more similarities that bind those two human beings than there are differences. And if we can start to recognize that we have a lot more similarities than differences, maybe we can start to fucking actually like treat each other with compassion. Or maybe that's just some sort of like grandiose fucking hope that is like dwindling and floating away on a feather.
It almost seems like that way. It's so simple when you say it out loud and actually like articulate and lay out the plan of how we can come together, but people just don't want to listen. It's ego.
100%. It is. It is. And it's just these attachments, you know? Like, I don't know. You read enough or learn enough, you know, like the Buddhists, they practice non-attachment, right? And people, places, and things, you don't get attached. And I can be like, well, some attachments, I love my attachments, right? But when we're attached to ideas and concepts and not anything that's really actually like rooted in this reality, I think those attachments become poison, right? And then we're throwing that poison at everybody else because everything that we see has been contaminated by the poisons of hatred and fear and fucking division.
Right. So you got a song that you're going to play for us today, right?
I do.
So it starts out almost as a rock song.
Yeah.
And then it makes the 180 switch to hip hop.
Yeah.
And you were rattling off some lyrics earlier. And I'm like, oh my God, like he can actually rap. Because you can sing
a little
too.
bit, right? And a little bit. Like, I'm just...
you dabble.
I dabble. I'm a dabbler. So the beginning of it is me playing the acoustic guitar and I sing. It's another song that I have that I just kind of combine with that.
Yeah.
And I'll be releasing that soon. And then it comes into hip hop. The song is produced and engineered by this cat named Stravs out here, Andrew Stravers. He's amazing. He's a drummer for the band Catastro. So they have a big event happening next Sunday, actually on, February 4th. So, he's amazing. And the song came out dope as shit. So I can't wait to release it. It's releasing on February 5th, full moon. Faulted, I will be releasing a new song every full moon. Either myself or another Faulted artist will be releasing a new song every full moon for the remainder of the year. So
wow,
yeah. So,
and is it all over the map, or is it mainly like hip hop style?
Mainly hip hop right now,
Okay.
but there's a bunch of collaborations in the work, and I'm in the process of putting together a rock project. So, and I can't wait to do that. So.
Well, stay tuned for that one as well, guys. That's the one I'm excited about for sure.
But
let's play this song. I know it's on Bluetooth on your phone. What's kind of the main message with this song?
Just a question. Is this why we came? And wondering, like I started out with, like, still moments move me. Afraid that this isolation will prove to be soothing. Like, it's just like I'm expressing fears, and at the same time, like, wondering, like, fuck, man, is that the reason why we're here? Just to struggle and to be fucking stuck? But it's not, So ultimately, at the end, it's a song of, like, perseverance and moving ahead.
I'm going to give you the full tripod because I have no idea how to take that thing off.
Yeah, well.
And you just got the iPhone 14, so I ain't breaking that, man.
My wife dropped her phone in a porta potty.
Yeah,
Pretty
I've been
cool.
there.
So, so she's like, well, we might as well get a new one, and we're eligible for blah, blah, blah. And all right, cool, let's go spend another $1,000.
I've been there, man.
But it's free. Then why are we spending so much money?
I have been there. I had to get a new phone once because Dave Matthews, I interviewed him, and he slapped the phone out of my hand and completely shattered it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know Dave Matthews had hands like that.
He does.
Wow. Son of a bitch can throw a smack.
And I got those hands, so.
All right. So, yeah. Is this why we came? Nowhere to run to, and there's nowhere to hide. No one here gets out alive. I wrote this in a box, you know what I mean? Hey, still moments move me. Afraid that this isolation will prove to be soothing, therapeutic in the rooted loneliness, lonely, alone in the moonbeam, talking like she knew me, presumptively assuming. But it's just me here, speaking to a mirror like some weird soliloquy that no one else can hear, no one else but fear, and apparently he's always there to hear me loud and clear. New echoes will appear. I know it's near, can forever feel the end, or maybe I never feel the end, and I just need a friend, someone to pretend that they may try to mend me, a homie through each bend. On connection we depend. All this solitary solitude is fucking up my mood. Try my best to make it through, but a self-talk is so rude, reminding me it's nothing new, that this is what we do, and even when refused, I'm terrified it's true. And is this why we came? Nah. Is this why we came? Hey, yo, is this why we came? Nah. No longer alone, but surrounded by plastic. People that tend to leave me cynical and sarcastic. I know this is my lesson, and that I must have vast it of karma. Now I need to figure out how to move past it. It's so interesting how we focus on the past, blind to the truth that none of this will last. Choosing to be ignorant, falling backwards fast, still sacrifice the present tense, no moments will elapse. But the clock is not the nemesis. The enemy's inside that broken child, throwing fits, running away to hide. The answer's looking in your eyes. What's he trying to find? All the causes of this emptiness, the reasons and the whys. Yo, it would be wise to expect the falling rain. Dancing, not avoid it, the inevitable pain. Accept the circumstances to buy us up in this game. Yo, I know the truth is difficult, but this is why we came. And is this why we came? Hey. Yo, is this why we came? Nah, hey. Yo, is this why we came? Nah. And whispers in this breathless brain have kept me from the same. Secrets stay inside of me, unable to convey. Night and day, speed away, each year I turn the page. Rewrite this book in prison like confined by my own rage. No one close to hear my thoughts, fear my point is lost. The bitches burned and bitches lost, I can't get back across. Drowning on the air I breathe, can't believe the cost of life itself. The siren sounds, I cannot turn it off. And is this why we came? Hey. Is this why we came? Hey, is this why we came? Nah.
Well, I can tell you this. This is why we came to do this podcast today, so we can hear that. So, Jesse, I appreciate you coming on today, man.
Absolutely.
Check out Faulted. It's coming out now. Jesse Ray James III, guys. Check it out.